Okay. Editing can be used in conjunction with pure studio-based productions, i.e. LSM, meaning you have online and offline editing. You talked about EVS servers, right? Your EVS server is an online editor because I can cut things really quick, A to B edits, line them up, send them out. Offline is what we're doing. This is the video editing, what we consider post, okay? These are higher end edits for live. Studios work together in editing things, and they have what are called EDLs, or edit decision lists, that I would start editing, and I create this edit decision list, and I can hand it over to whomever. Maria, you want to take it from here? You could edit, okay? And then whatever you change, you add to that, and then finally it would get to the main editor, see what they think of it, any decisions they would like to make, they would just check off of there. That way we can work as a group. That's called an EDL, okay? It would be reviewed to the note major edits. Yeah, you can export EDLs from Final Cut, Premiere, anything like that, okay? And then you can give it to the next person as a file, or they could export their own, and you could see the difference like that. There's different ways of doing it. Editors deal with compression. We talked about that. Those are your codecs. File exchange and frame rate issues. So there's a lot to deal with. Cool. In this class, we won't worry about EDLs or anything like that. We will worry about compression, sending it up to YouTube and everything. But to go from there, you are able to just kind of edit your own piece at your own pace and get it up there. The on location in the assignment description says it's due today at the end of class. It is not. I'll let you submit it. I think it's by the 31st. Okay. Color correction. Color correction is an important tool in a modern NLE. Anyone knows what NLE stands for? Close. Non-linear. What kind of software is Final Cut and editing? Non-linear editor. You're really good. I don't know where you got non-linear from. I'll take it. That's awesome. So an NLE, or non-linear editor, this allows for the altering of colors and color temperatures in the footage. It is like an EQ for the footage. However, this should not be the main fix it in post tool. You know, they always say, we'll fix that in post, right? We can't do that. There is high-end software that you can do a lot of that in. That's more film, okay? What we need to do is just light color corrections and stuff like that. So you can color correct if you want. Now, if you color correct camera 1, you have to color correct the rest of them, right? So they all match. So there's different ways to do that. You can color correct the whole multicam file. This is extremely important to, I fixed that last month. It did not save. Shade, not shave. Oh, that is shade. I'm sorry. A camera beforehand. We shaded properly. You guys look consistent through all of them. Everything looked good. There should be minimal color correction. You can color correct the hell out of the on location, but for the live to tape, there really should not be that much color correction. If that makes sense.
Because it should be fine.
Well, yeah. Another part of editing is audio editing. Okay. When it comes to audio editing for video, sometimes things need to be addressed. Many issues or trimmings can be done in an NLE. Many NLEs will use plugins from related applications, like Logic for Final Cut. Okay, so if you're in Final Cut, you can bring up any of the plugins from Logic right there. If you want to put reverb on the guy, and not as much as I put on, I can't believe I put that much reverb on him. I didn't hear it at the time. Just a little. I swear to God, it was just a little bit. At least the stems are clean, so we can fix that. So we'll have those plugins to use, everything like that. With bigger issues, they can be, you can get the stems, remix them, or just use the stems inside. There is a lot. You can get 50% of the way in Final Cut itself. So sometimes 50% is good enough. That's all you need to get your audio better. But then sometimes people want to bring it into Pro Tools, remix it, especially like a large band, remix it, and then spit out a mix down of that, okay? Which is fine. Because you're not going to really want to do too much editing of audio inside of Final Cut. Okay, 1 track, 2 tracks, those are fine. We're going to need to fix him, and that's easily done in Final Cut. Any questions, guys? Graphics and transitions are a huge part. I have you cut and I have you fade, okay? But you can use other ones in the on location. You don't want to use anything but a cut, really, and a fade, a cross dissolve in the, what's it called? The live to tape. Some transitions are not suitable for all productions. I don't want to see these arrows or this black hole. Bloom is okay. I like Bloom. Graphics and other generators are often found in modern editors. So you can bring in, as I mentioned, graphics before. If you want to do, there's a news update thing in Final Cut. You can use that. News music, things like that. Generators are often things that you would put, they would generate like a black screen or a color screen, anything that you want. You can even create placeholders, stuff like that. Titling tools are a great part of this. We want to title things, right? So you can bring in text. You can overlay text on video, right? You can do all that. This should be pretty common knowledge. It's important to edit for aesthetics. So if I have too many graphics, it's not going to work. If I have enough graphics, it adds something to it. I used to do a lot of editing and a lot of graphics for edits, whether it was lower thirds, whether it was splash pages, okay? Whether it was diagrams for people talking about it and like literally making the picture small and throwing up a diagram. You can do that type of stuff, okay? We won't get into all of it today. Non-linear editing. Years ago, there was linear editing. That required you to have a tape, take your tape, cut it where you want to edit, cut the next part, edit out that piece, and tape it together. So you had, I'm sorry, not tape, film. So you edit the film by cutting it. There was no Command Z. There was no redoing it. Okay, you had the film. You had the actual film. There'll be copies. You could keep the real one. Yeah, it was risky. It was very difficult. Plus, then we'd have to match up the audio and cut the audio to fit that too, and that was tape because audio wasn't on film. Audio played from something else. So this is an early editor. And he has to do everything like that. We don't have like the mouse clicks and stuff like that. So we've come a long way. All right, so I'm going to talk about different aspects of common editors. Okay. We have 3 that are very common in our industry. We have one that is called Avid. That is made by, nice work. Avid also makes Pro Tools, right? Pro Tools used to be DigiDesign, but they were purchased by Avid. This software is called Avid Media Composer. Okay. Yeah, it's a great software. Okay. It's really great for teams, large group of people. Okay. So if we have a ton of people working on the same thing, it works off a server. Avid works on Mac, works on PC, and has very traditional tools. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that they are able to edit just like most common editors edit. You sit down in front of it, you should have a fairly familiar idea of what you're doing with it, okay? Does not have great codecs, but it does what it does. It's really good for working with EVS and stuff like that. Great multicam editing. Again, multicam is when we line up all our cameras together and we can cut through them. It's not known for its graphics. Okay, it can do graphics, but a lot of times you have other applications used with this. Price, too much. Okay, you go by licensing. Okay, so it's bulk licensing. You get 50, you get 100 licenses at once. This is meant for the corporate world, not traditional corporate, but our corporate world. Okay. Next one is Final Cut. That's what we're using today. Okay, so if you were to ask me, and we're going to compare and contrast both of them, which one is better, Final Cut or Premiere? I am stuck 50-50. Okay. I don't love one over the other. I am cool with both. They both serve a purpose in my life. Final Cut only works on a Mac, does not work on a PC. Final Cut does not edit like any traditional editors. You have various tools that help you. These tools are great, but some people think they get in the way. There are workarounds around them, but for the most part, they're awesome. And it really helps editors get up and running quicker. So I can teach you Final Cut in an afternoon, whereas Premiere, I might need a little bit more time. Okay. They have some of the top codecs. A lot of movies are put out this way, like ProRes 4444 and stuff like that. These are high-end codecs, huge file sizes, mind you, but awesome looking stuff. Multicam editing. Well, I put an X and a plus there. When this originally came out, I think it was 2011, it did not do multicam editing, and that is a huge, huge feature of an editor. So later on, maybe a year or two later, they came out with multicam editing, and it does a superb job. Okay, and you guys don't have to pay for it, luckily, but it is $2.99, which isn't terrible for an editing application. Then we get to Premiere. And Premiere works on Mac and PC. That's a benefit. It has very traditional editing tools. Again, not always a great thing. Sometimes it's neat to edit a little bit differently. I can edit in both of them very well. It's just through time and experience that you get used to that. If you get stuck with one editor all the time, then you're only going to really know that editor. So I had to force myself to go to Premiere and learn more about that. And it depended on the project. Premiere does multicam editing just fine. I don't like it as much as I like Final Cut. That's a personal preference. Okay, and a lot of this comes down to personal preferences. Right? Some people like Logic over Pro Tools. Right? And some people don't. I will say it's a minority of people who like Logic over Pro Tools, but yeah, you can create music better in Logic than you can in Pro Tools, but Pro Tools is better at mixing, doing mix downs than Logic. Let's talk about graphics, though. Premiere being an Adobe product, it is siblings to some of the best graphic applications out there. Illustrator, Photoshop, After Effects. These are huge. After Effects is the best. If you haven't learned After Effects yet, take some time in your life and learn After Effects. That is an ongoing, you will learn that forever type of thing. I've been using After Effects since, let's say 2008, so 10 years, 11 years. And I've been still continuously learning little small tidbits and stuff like that. That's not an application you can master. Final Cut, I pretty much have mastered. I can get around anything, okay? Whereas that is such an intense, awesome graphics application, okay? And the nice thing is, you don't have to render out this beautiful thing you made in After Effects and drop it into your Premiere. You can just bring that AEP, After Effects project file, and put that in Premiere. So it's right there. Then if you need to change anything, you go back to After Effects, edit whatever you want, hit save, and it automatically updates right in Premiere. That goes for Photoshop and Illustrator too. You want to change the color of something, change the color, hit save, and it already updates in Premiere. Pretty cool. So we like how that all works together. This, for the highest tier, is $50 a month. It's not bad if you make your living off of it, and it's kind of nice that you have the most up-to-date software at all times. But it used to be like $1,000, so. Here are my comparisons to both of them, if you're interested. Final Cut has an easy import and file management, okay? We're going to need that. What happens if your files are not in the right place? Your edits go offline. It says media offline, it can't find your media. Well, this stores it all in the same place, and I'm going to make sure we do that together, okay? Simple editing tools. Powerful, but very simple. The magnetic timeline speeds up edits. So what the magnetic timeline is you drop something in Final Cut, it snaps to the front. And then you drop something else and it snaps to the back of that. Any other editor, you have to bring it to the front, bring it there. You want to cut off something from the front, you have to go and select everything else and bring it forward. So that's kind of a pain in the ass. Some of the best codecs we talked about. A big library of pre-made content. You guys might not be motion graphic artists, so we can use a lot of that content, a lot of the jingles, whatever you guys need to use. Great multicam editor. It's great for pros and consumers. I'd say we're all in a kind of consumer level here, and we're going to go into a pro level. I mention this, guys, because post-production is really huge. Even though we're show production, and we do things live, there's a lot of times that they might want to say, well, let's record this, edit it up, and give a polished file out there. And you might be stuck with that. That was my job. I would go around filming things. We would go live with some things to conference rooms, stuff like that. But then I'd also make sure I'm recording it so I can edit it together and post that on our central server. As I mentioned before, this is edits different than any other editor. And if you ever create an iMovie project, you can just literally upgrade that right into a Final Cut project. So what I like to do, this is just me being nerdy, is I will edit on my iPad in iMovie, just take some clips. I have a good camera, take some video with it, dump it into my iPad, rearrange it, do what I need to, and then bring it into Final Cut, and then I can really edit it from there. Premiere, more options when editing. You have a lot more sophisticated edits. It doesn't just hold your hand. You have to know what you're doing. Great multicam editor. You have more control over your data, but is this a good thing? It can be, but for the most part, I'm really good at losing files. And so you throw out a file that you need, you're done. So you want to keep it all in one central location. Easy time working with effects, powerful custom titling tool. Oh man, the titling tools in Premiere are absolutely great. Powerful export software, Media Encoder. I'll tell you how important Media Encoder is. In order to get these files ready for you to edit today, in Final Cut, I had to put them through Media Encoder. So I cataloged everything, put it through Media Encoder, and export them for you today. It takes up normally my whole Tuesday before this lab. Great for pros and teams, very common editing, and the dynamic link. The dynamic link is that tool that allows you to bring in other files right into Premiere and then just go back to the original file, edit it, and then hit save and you're good. Okay. Let's look at an editing workflow. First, we are going to plan a shoot. Did you guys do that? How many shoots did we plan? We did 3. Kind of planned that one. It was last minute, right? The one that we had microphone issues. That was on me. We recorded, right? What's the term for record when we're going around in live? Speed. So we recorded all that. Remember that time I put way too much reverb on the guy? Then we catalog the footage. This is what my catalog of footage looks like. I catalog the footage for you. You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, no problem, no sweat. Anytime. Now we're going to get down to editing. Okay. Go ahead. Take the whole folder, just for now. And then we're going to break it apart. I just need you to have that folder on your desktop or in your documents or wherever. Cool? When we are done, we render it, okay? So we have to export it through the software. We render it out. Finally, we share and post. Okay? And that would be either giving it to the client or posting it on YouTube, or Facebook, wherever you want to post this. Now, does it always go this smoothly? Absolutely not. When we go to share and post, we might have an issue with, we missed an edit. So we have to go back and re-edit. Then we go to edit and we realize, hey, we are missing a part of this, so we have to plan another shoot. And then when we go to catalog the footage, we might realize, hey, you put way too much reverb on it, and we have to replace the audio. And then we get into things like drink more coffee, render, re-record, rethink your life. And this is what a typical editor goes through every day. Maria. That's okay.
Is there a hotkey to where I could press to go back to the beginning? Like saying like you're hitting return in Pro Tools and you go back to the
very beginning? You're going to get into hotkeys with me, and I forget a lot of them. Try one of the Alt, Control, or Option, and the arrows. One of those might do it for you. Now, I think some of them will only bring you to the last edit. You have to keep going back to the last cut, I will say. We can Google that in a second, okay? If you want to Google that in the meantime, that's cool. Editing is a lot of fun. It's painting. Here's the problem we're going to run into, though. Anybody painting here? Anybody do any sort of art? You draw? You're a very creative person, and here, this is what sucks about being a very creative person. The downfall is you will never know when it's done, right? You will go through and continuously tweak something and add something, take away something, and it'll never be good enough for you. So at a certain point, you will need to walk away from it, okay? So it's okay if you need to get up, take a 5-minute break, and walk out of here. You will get fatigued, just like audio editing, right? You know how you get ear fatigue? Well, you're going to get visual fatigue and audio fatigue as you go through this. Okay, so we want to have fun with it. Just make sure it's not wearing on you, because your edits will suck moving forward. You'll just slap it together. But being a creative person, I don't want to just kind of squash that. I want you guys to make sure that you are using your creativity more than just putting piece A, piece B, piece C. How can we put them together? How can I make cool jumps from the different people we talk to out on location and stuff like that? Okay, so use your creativity here. I'm going to give you the tools. This is your canvas, and you'll go from there. All right, so very first, there's 4 things I need you to know for Final Cut. A library. This is all the assets in the entirety of the edit. Everything lives within the library. An event is a breakdown of resources in a group. Okay. So we can have 3 events if we wanted to. It's however you want to set it up. On location could be one event, turntable could be one event, and the performance could be one event. A project, more commonly known as a sequence or a timeline, is what we actually edit in. Everything is in that timeline or that project. You can have multiple projects per event, so it doesn't matter. And then clips are the individual pieces of media. Everyone with me? If you get lost in this part, I'm not going back. So it looks like this. Your library holds everything. Inside that are your events. We have 2 events here, 2 projects in each, and then all the clips live inside of that. So today we're going to make a big bucket. That's called your library. And we're going to upload all that folder that I gave you into that. So all the footage will then live inside of that bucket. You can delete the folder or the files that I gave you when we're done with this, because they all live in here. You can keep them if you want. Once you get them into Final Cut, you can toss them if you want, because they're in Final Cut. Does that make sense? All right, we're going to go into Final Cut now. We're going to go over each of the pieces, and then we're going to start editing the on location. This is when the butterfly building was being painted. Okay, so there's a chapter on editing. It's a pretty good one. And then, of course, you have your lab coming up in just an hour and 15 minutes on that, okay? You guys ready? What are we waiting on? Here is Final Cut. I would like yours to look something like this. Empty. We're all going to start from the beginning so we can get up and moving with it. Okay, all together. Are you raising your hand, Bria? Okay, yes. We have to have a library to have an event. Okay, I think that's just your, it's on the right, you said? It looks similar to this? Yeah, that's just your inspector. So, Bria, you have an option to hang tight with what you have or restart with me. Sure. You can just do what you're doing. Okay. How do you start new? Okay. You have another option of seeing where you can jump on board. It's not the end of the world. We're going to structure it a little bit different, but if you want to keep it as is and then just hop on board where I come when things change, you can do that, okay? Your folders are in there. They should be. Okay. Cool. So if you are already past this step, that's fine. I'm just doing this so I can show you where you start from. Okay. First thing we're going to do is go up to File, New, Library. There is no key command for that. I'm going to save my library. Oops, I want to plug in my drive. Let me plug in my hard drive here. Give it a minute. And I'm just going to call this AVT 1903 edit. Okay. I'm going to save it to my drive. You can save it to your computer. You can save it anywhere you want to. Okay. If you are saving it to your desktop or your downloads folder, make sure you're not syncing that with iCloud. Some people have it as, like my desktop syncs to my phone via iCloud, so you can't save it there. Okay. So we're going to hit save. Now you see I have a new library over here. The library of these 4 little dots. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me minimize this. So this here is my library for this month. These 4 dots. Right now it equals almost nothing in storage. But as soon as I start putting my files in there, that will become very large. Okay. How did I find that? That's where I saved it to. Everything lives inside this. I could give you this drive as soon as I'm done, give it to you, and you can start editing where I left off. That's where it is. Is that cool? You good with that? Cool. All right, so they already created an event for you. The event is 1 star, this guy here. So we can change the name of it. And I'm going to change by hitting enter on top of it. I'm going to change the name to on location. Okay. I also want 2 more events. So I can go to File, New Event, or Option N. And I can do turntable part 1. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to do turntable part 2. So if I just hit Option N, here it is, turntable part 2, and we're ready to go. Everyone with me? All right. It seems very dark in here, so if you raise your hand, just yell out to me, okay? Now, let's go into On Location. I'm going to click this Import Media button right here. If you don't have that, this down arrow up here is the same thing. It will import your media. Okay? And we're going to go to my AVT drive. That's where I have the files. And we're going to go here. And I'm going to take this whole folder. Just select it. I'm going to make sure that the files copy to my library. Okay. And everything else looks good. We don't need to check anything else. That's the default state. And we'll hit that. It's going to import those files, and here they are. Now, right now, your files might look like this, or something along these lines. Okay? If you look right here, there's a bubble with 2 lines underneath it. If we click on that, it gives us a list of our file names and the preview above it. And I personally feel that this is much easier. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the old view like this, and then I'm going to come up here. You found it? Perfect. All right, let's import the rest of the stuff. I'm going to go into part 1, and I cataloged it all for this reason. Part 1, import. Part 2, import. Sweet. And there we go. Any questions so far? Go ahead. You rename your library? Just come up, click on it, and hit enter. I'm listening. If you messed up, delete the stuff, and then redo it. Click on the location here. Import to that. Okay, it's importing to on location if you look right here. Okay. Does that make sense? I gotta do something. Check 1, 2. Okay. I switch your files. The one died. So you got it now? Okay. I'm just going to close out of this window. All right. So we're ready to edit now, right? So on the on location, event, we're going to come down here and you see new project. Let's select new project. What do we want to call this? Well, call this John Thomas location. Okay. There we go. Okay. Rough day for Sandy today. Do you need me to wait? All right, so here we have our clips, and I don't know the order of them, right? So I can look. Let me see something here. I'm not getting sound out. I need output. Preference. I don't need software update right now. Sound. Input. Output should be headphone jack. And input should be my AirPod. Okay, good. Sweet. So now if we play this. Oops. So we have a lot of noise and disruption. I don't know what was going on there. That was when the cable got faulty. Trying to turn it up for you guys. Hang on. Okay, so a few things. I'm looking at this clip, and when I'm listening to it, you see it's only coming through one channel, right? You don't hear it through that speaker? Do you agree? So what I'm going to do is take all this, and you're going to have to do this for the on locations. Yep, shift click. Select all of them. Come over to your inspector. If you don't have an inspector out, it's this button here. Okay. Then what you're going to do, everyone have that open? Looks like that when it opens. You guys with me? Who has questions? I'm highlighting all the clips. So all the clips would be those 22 clips that you have. Yeah, so we need to get to this inspector, make sure all of yours are highlighted, or yeah, then you're going to go and hit, see where it says stereo right there? You're going to drop that down and you're going to put dual mono. Because remember, we only had one mic and it only comes in one channel, so we have to do dual mono. Now if I play with it, we can listen to it. You hear now that speaker now? So you don't have a stereo mix to play with, but you do have dual mono, and this is very typical. All right. Next part is, you see there's a lot of different things. When I click on this here, on the very first one, this is our start. This is where they started off, right? Okay. You can just select all of them again and do it again. Okay, so what I want to do next is actually start editing this thing. There's two ways, two schools of thought of editing this. Okay, one, we could take this clip and just drag it down here. I don't like that. That gets messy. I like to start with the clip up here, and I can see that there's a lot of junk beforehand, and I'm going to cut out some of that junk. So you see the yellow band around here, right? Yep, you're going to come and we're going to trim it like this until it's about there. Then I'm going to drag and just take that portion of the clip in. There's still edits that need to be made, but I didn't bring in all the crap. So if I'm going to start with this, I'm going to click here. I'm going to, sorry. I'm going to click here. So let's start right there. So now I'm going to go up to my toolbox right here. Everyone, yes, you can hold B, absolutely. No, you're great. Thanks for bringing it up. We can co-teach all you want. B for blade tool. We're going to click the blade tool, and we're going to go right to our playhead. Playhead is the line. This is the cut line. This is the playhead. I'm going to go take the cut line to the playhead. I'm going to cut it. Then what I'm going to do is go back to the arrow tool, or A, and take this front part and just hit the delete button, just like this. Boop. Or what? Oh, the position tool? Yeah, I'm just trying to build a kind of foundation. So I want it all, this is the beginning of it. I can insert things later. There's definitely a time and place for the position tool. I don't know if I'd use it here personally. All right, so then we have this. Okay, so we need to take out the cut, right? So I'm going to cut it there. This is the best way to cut it here. If I go in, I can take my little, you get a little thing at the end, and I just scoot it back. Now, I don't have snapping on, or it would snap right to the playhead. So I'm going to turn snapping on. Snapping is this tool right here. Okay, you see that? Give me 1 second here. I zoomed in with my trackpad, as if you're on a phone, zooming in on a picture. How do I get back to my computer here? Where are you? Do you need to come this way? Audio. Nope. I don't know if this is getting the audio. Oh, well. Okay, so with this one clip, then we can bring in the next clip. We don't want to use this clip here, Rhea standing in front of traffic. Let's get to a clip where they're asking people something. That's another clip of that. Another clip of that. This one here. We like the end one. So that one's just walking. If we want to get rid of a clip, like I don't think we'll ever use that clip, we can hit the delete key. Now it's not going to delete it. It's just going to reject it. And so if you come up here where it says hide rejected, if you guys can see me right here, we can go and just look at rejected clips. And there it is. Okay. So what we're going to do is just stick with rejected and go from there. So this is my next clip. Why is there so much distortion on it? See if we can fix that in post. Okay, so we're going to start here. And again, I'm going to click my arrow. Let's see. You can hit I for input. For in. You see how I did that? And it jumped in to my playhead. This is almost unusable. I don't know. We were listening to it. Wasn't Jake? So I'm going to put the clip down here. All right, so we have two clips together. I want to show you how to do a few things, and I'm going to let you off and edit your own piece, okay? First one I want to do is we need a transition from here to here. You want to do a dissolve? Yeah, we could do a wipe. I like bloom. I'm going to show you bloom. So right up here, you see this T? That is text and generators. That's not where I want it to go. I'm sorry. You see this bow tie over here? We click on that, and then this gives us all our transitions. So if we come down here, there's different blurs. Bloom, this is the bloom I want, and you're going to smack dab it right in the middle, and so it gives you a look like this. Pretty cool, right? We're going to get there. I don't know how much of it we can fix. Okay, so the next thing I want to do you want to do video first or audio first? Audio. Cool, we're going to come into here. This is the one with the problem, right? I don't know, this first one was great. Okay, so the very first thing you can do, if you come down here to the audio, you can bring up and down this line. Okay, so if we bring it down a little bit, we'll get rid of the pop. The distortion will still be there. It just won't be as loud. Next thing we're going to do is come over here next to where transitions are. There's two squares. One is kind of just a stroke and the other one is a square. I'm going to click on that. Here we get effects. First effect I'm going to put on is an EQ effect. There's a muffled EQ, all that. Let's just get whatever type of EQ you guys like. You can normally get a preview of how it's going to help, but we still have to adjust it. I'm going for the graphic EQ, and we just take this effect and we just dump it on top. Okay, now that graphic EQ is right here. We're under audio in our inspector, and we're going to come down here, and we're going to click this little button here, which brings up the EQ itself. This might not be the one I wanted, but we'll play with it anyway. What's that? Yeah, I grabbed the graphic EQ, but I wanted an RTA on it. Band EQ. As I add more on, the other one doesn't go away. So you'd have to come up here and delete it. Nope, that's not going to help. So there's some frequencies that we can definitely remove. And this is the beauty of playing around with it in the editor. I have a channel EQ right here. I'll just do that. There we go. We can turn the analyzer on, and we can see where the problem is, right? So we got a lot of that in the end here. It's distortion, though. We're not going to get rid of it. Yeah, like wind noise and stuff like that, we can normally EQ out. Okay, that's just static all around. Yeah, this sounds like a excellent. Do we still have the preamp going at this time? No. Okay. Me too. I don't know what it is. Who is manning the mic? Yeah. This one seems clean. This is when we walked with it. Sari, you ran the camera, right? Nice work. And we're walking with it again. You see that? Is every time we walked with it. So you do have usable footage. And you can play with it. There are different tools. Maybe you can find something that works.
Yeah, so like when he's doing like his dance, maybe like put like a song behind it.
You can, yeah, if you want songs, music and stuff like that is up here. If you want, I don't have any Logic stuff. I have GarageBand stuff. No, I have nothing. I have sound effects. Nope.
Did he cut his audio on that piece and like put him just like dancing and stuff?
Yep. There we go. I'm just going to show you how you put audio into it, okay? So if you want to put audio somewhere, you bring it down and you just place it on the bottom. The audio? Yeah. All audio has these little points. Now you might have to delete this. Oh, here it is. It's hard to see, but my arrows are now pointing left and right instead of up and down. Okay, I have the wrong thing. That makes the balloon bigger. That's the transition. Yeah. This piece is really bad. I don't know why. Nope. All right, so the next thing I want to address, audio you're going to have to futz with a little bit. I showed you how to bring in the plugins and deal with that, okay? Next thing we're going to want to play with is color temperature. You're way too blue here, okay? So what we're going to do is click on this and hit the magic wand, see if that does anything. And we're going to show, let's try to color balance it, see what it does on its own. It's processing it. You can tell it's processing something when it's up in the corner here. So it's not going to get to it anytime soon. The color balance. This little icon here. You see it's like a pie? Yeah, that takes for a while. Maybe we'll let that go. Next, what we'll do instead is we'll click this and we'll go to the triangle right here. Yep, I want to add warmth to it. I want to add warmth to the color. So globally, I'm going to bring it to the red. Look at that. You see that? Okay, now let's versus this. And that looks good. Okay, so what I can do then is save this as a preset. Let me just call it warmth. Yep, the save preset button is right down here. And we don't want it that, we just want it basics. The category, and we did it. Now, I have my good. I can come over here to my bad, and we can come over to basics, and then look for warmth right here. Click and drag this on top. Look at that. Okay, so you can do that. So you don't have to keep doing it each time. Your indoor shots might need a little bit more work in one way or the other. Okay, everyone get that? Everyone remember how to bring in clips? Yep, you want to come over to this triangle right here. Yeah, well, that one I needed to move warmer, whereas you guys have some clips here when we're inside. They're not terrible. They're a little orange. So if I bring this clip down, I can, go ahead. Yeah, take it out. You can use whatever clips you have. I'm not telling you. So really, your lights are too. I was going to bring up the lights here. That looks really good now. Yeah, whatever you like to do. A little goes a long way with color correction. Okay? You can give it a whole different tone if you wanted to. If you wanted to give it like hard light, you can click and drag that over. And you see how hard light gives you really harsh shadows and stuff. I don't think you want that. Okay? Any questions? We put some clips together. We're good in that regard. I think you guys are ready to start putting your little project together. Okay? If you have questions, come up to me and ask so I can help you out.
So the question here about us like looking at the video from like its rough copy and then we have to answer those questions.
Which assignment?
The critique.
Yeah, that's the one that you guys said you were going to do video response for, and give yourself a grade out of 50 on it. 1 out of 50. You don't have to. Okay. Is this critique on all 3 of the videos or just the turntable production video? It is only on the turntable and the performance. It is not on the on location. On location is just pure fun. We have distorted audio. We have distorted audio. You learn something. Next time, check your audio better. Okay, that is just pure fun. Okay, it's something. It was more of a lecture piece than a lab piece. So, does that make sense? So do your best with whatever you got with that. Okay. So I would take the rest of the hour, the last 40 minutes here, start editing your stuff together, and go from there. If you have questions, I'll be right here. Okay. And then Omar's going to dive deeper into Final Cut with multicam editing and stuff like that. But I just want to see if you guys can get a foundation ready with this. Cool? You guys need any help right off the bat? Any questions? Okay. And I'm going to stop all this.